School-wide Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, PBIS, is a proactive, team-based framework for creating and sustaining safe and effective schools. Emphasis is placed on prevention of problem behavior, development of prosocial skills, and the use of data-based problem solving for addressing existing behavior concerns. School-wide PBIS increases the capacity of schools to educate all students using research-based, school-wide, classroom, and individualized interventions. Since its inception more than 13 years ago at the University of Oregon, PBIS has developed into a framework that can be used by any school to help improve the social and learning behaviors of students, as well as decrease disruptions that interfere with instruction. PBIS is now implemented in thousands of schools across the country and hundreds of schools in Illinois, including preschools, elementary, middle, and high schools. School-wide Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports is a prevention model. It is based on the premise that all students can benefit from well-implemented evidence-based practices for improving student behavior. School-wide PBIS provides a comprehensive framework that can be used by any school to design their own system of behavioral supports for all students. It also provides informed decision-making based on data analysis that guides the process of assessing student needs and providing additional levels of behavioral support to students in need. Just like with RTI, the overall structure of PBIS is similar from school to school, but the exact assessments and interventions used are likely to differ. Let's take a look at this quick video description of how PBIS works in one school.
PBIS is a school-wide positive behavior intervention system. It is a three-tiered system of support for behavior and an integral part of the MTSS program in place to ensure that all students maximize learning in a safe and positive environment. The foundational belief of PBIS is that we can effectively teach appropriate behavior to all students. We do this by implementing best practices for behavior management with fidelity. Our best practices are instructive, not punitive, and responsive rather than reactive. As a staff, we've already provided explicit instruction about school-wide expectations when we reviewed the expected behaviors in different areas of campus the first week of school. We positively reinforce these behaviors by using Grizzly cards, the prize card, and school-wide recognition at our Grizzly Nation assemblies. When we implement such positive reward systems, we may have concerns about creating an environment in which students will only behave if there is an incentive attached. Daniel Pink, the author of Drive, goes into great detail on this topic, saying that if we want to encourage creativity and motivation, we move away from material rewards. Therefore, if we want our positive rewards to be most effective, we need to be specific about the behavior being reinforced, and remember that it's not really about the ticket, but the positive relationships we're building with our students. What happens, though, when the explicit instruction and positive rewards don't work? Then we refer to our flowchart for responding to problem behaviors. The flowchart outlines the best practices and processes for responding to both minor and major behaviors. In addition to using best practices, we want to document problem behavior using the Office Data Referral Form. This is different from the traditional referral in that it is not used as a punishment, behave or I'll give you a referral, but as a piece of data that will become part of a bank of data that will inform how we as a team will respond to patterns of behaviors. Responses to problem behavior will match student need. They'll be based on the function of behaviors and will be differentiated in nature and intensity. For example, our booster movies will be a Tier 1 response that will serve as a sufficient reminder for most students of what expected Grizzly behavior looks like. Students who need more intensive reteaching may be referred to our MTSS team and recommended for Tier 2 interventions like check-in, check-out. Things to note. 1. We don't change the students. We change how we respond to what they're doing. This doesn't happen by sending the students somewhere else. If we don't change the environment in our classroom, the same behaviors will continue to occur. If we keep doing what we've always done, we'll keep getting what we've always gotten. 2. How do we make effective changes in how we respond? We start paying attention to the function of students' behaviors. Are they seeking attention from peers or adults? Are they seeking material objects? Are they avoiding tasks or attention from peers or adults? These are vitally important questions as they will shape our responses. 3. How effective we become at identifying the function of behaviors will make all the difference in how we change our responses to behaviors. Our interventions will be most effective if they match the function of behavior. But what if I run out of ideas for effectively managing behavior? We are fortunate to have many colleagues on staff who specialize in behavioral interventions who will come running to help us, as well as an entire team to cheer us on as we continue to support our students in all areas.
The emergence of school-wide PBIS was a response to a growing over-reliance on using negative consequences or punishment for problem behavior. On this slide are many typical responses to student behavior, when in reality, most of these measures really have little impact on changing student behavior. The good news is that research reviews indicate that the most effective responses to students' behavior include social skills training, academic restructuring, and behavioral interventions. Just like any other skill, behavior is something that needs to be taught, just like reading, math, or riding a bike. Likewise, there are many things within a classroom environment that we can do to increase the likelihood that students learn and behave. These ideas truly represent a shift in philosophy from fixing the student to redesigning the environment and implementing teaching strategies and interventions to promote student success. School-wide PBIS teaches socially acceptable behaviors. A set of universal expectations for behavior positively stated are established for all students in all environments of the school. These expectations generally promote core values such as respect, responsibility, and safety. Interventions and strategies are implemented to teach and reinforce these expectations. Remember, just like RTI, PBIS is also a decision-making framework characterized by multiple tiers of intervention. MTSS, multi-tiered system of support, is that broad category heading for both of these models. The tiers of intervention provide schools with an integrated continuum of behavioral interventions and practices. The important idea to remember is that each tier of intervention represents an increasing intensity of services, supports, or instruction. Each student in a school is matched to a tier of intervention based on his or her learning and behavioral needs. Schools that implement school-wide behavior systems often find that students' academic performance improves as teachers are able to return to teaching academics after behavioral issues are supported. Why implement behavioral strategies for all students if only a few seem to have problems? There are a few reasons. First, even if students don't have major behavioral problems, they can benefit from instruction in positive behavior expectations. PBIS is a skill-building approach that will strengthen the repertoire of social skills for any student. Secondly, educators who work in schools that implement PBIS report a high level of satisfaction with it, citing the positive effects of getting on the same page with their colleagues. This means an improved social climate and increased time for instruction. Thirdly, fewer students will rise to the second and third tiers when universal best practices are implemented, and the specialized strategies are implemented will be more likely to be effective when implemented within the context of school-wide PBIS. Lastly, students become effective models for each other within the PBIS framework. First, school teams develop Tier 1, universal school-wide management strategies designed to meet the needs of all students and develop a common language and focus for all school staff. Universal or Tier 1 strategies are designed to be implemented with all learners consistently and efficiently across all school settings, classrooms, and non-classrooms like the cafeteria and hallways. This includes defining expectations and teaching specific behaviors or social skills that will lead to success in school. You need to provide frequent positive reinforcement for expected behavior, consistently addressing social problems and arranging teaching and learning environments to ensure success for all. Notice how in these examples, the 3 rules listed are on all the posters, but each poster uses different pictures and descriptions of what each rule looks like in each environment. This level meets the needs of approximately 80% of a school student body. Even with effective universal interventions in place, a group of students, somewhere between 10 to 15% will require additional behavior supports. The secondary tier is designed to support a targeted group of students who have not responded to universal tier interventions and who require repeated practice and environmental modifications to increase their likelihood of academic and social success. The strategies that are put in place match the function of the student's behavior. Although they are linked to Tier 1 interventions, Tier 2 interventions are more intensive and typically require more adult attention and monitoring. The behavioral strategies of Tier 2 can be likened to the small group academic interventions for students requiring additional instruction or practice to keep up with the standard curriculum. Third, Tier 3 is developed to provide highly individualized strategies for the relatively small number of students who engage in ongoing, challenging behavior that is unresponsive to universal or Tier 2 based interventions. At the third level, special educators, school psychologists, counselors, and behavior interventionalists utilize functional behavior assessment to gather data and develop individualized behavior intervention plans. This can be likened to the student who is unable to learn to read using the standard curriculum and requires a highly individualized reading intervention to be successful. Approximately 5% of the student body will require individualized interventions. In conclusion, PBIS is a proactive, positive approach to preventing problem behavior. At the universal level, teachers explicitly teach students school expectations and provide reinforcement when students meet those expectations. As frequency and intensity of behavior for some students increases, educators utilize targeted and individualized supports to provide additional layers of positive support. Let's see what this looks like in the Chicago Public Schools.
About a year to 2 years ago, the teachers, the administration felt that the students were taking basically charge of the halls. You know, we had our guys outside of their lockers, what the kids call posting up, or hanging 15 to 20 minutes after the bell. It seemed like every period there was a fight. We have about 12 security guards for 2,700 students. So you could just imagine how much time and effort was put just to have those kids funneled into classes. Our ACT scores took a dip the last 2 years. We attributed that to the fact that the kids were not going to class. They weren't taking the advantage of those 46 minutes. And the reason why is because there was no supervision.
All right, happy Friday, everybody. Make sure you have those IDs on.
And the teachers felt that it was time for us to make a change.
Troy, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you.
There's a variety of strategies that we use to help schools define and structure their learning environment. So positive behavior supports is a really broad term for different strategies that we use to really intentionally design and deliver instruction in ways that really motivate kids to be engaged in instruction and to demonstrate the kind of positive behaviors that we would like to see from them as learners. So Kelly implemented our foundation strategy, which is one of our school climate strategies, for what they expect of adults and students in their common areas.
And we said, we got it. We know what we want to do. We want to do the Start on Time initiative.
All right, guys, we only got about a minute left. Let's get to class quickly.
You can do it. You can do it.
All right, 15 seconds. We got to have the hall clear. 15 seconds.
We made some changes. Their mentality now is like, I need to make it to class on time.
Okay, if you could walk her down, thank you.
Once the bell rings, the second group of teachers are our hall sweep teachers.
What? You're late though.
And those teachers hold those kids who are not in class, walk them to a designated area.
Once a student has had their ID scanned for tardy, then another staff member is going to escort them to their classes. So when that happens, the students will not be walking in the hallways unattended.
What class are you going to?
English.
English. Who's your teacher?
Mr. Kinsella.
Mr. Gonzalez. I coached cross country with him.
As far as the student-teacher relationships, a lot more of our teachers are actively engaged with the students to find out what's going on in their life, how are you doing, what's going on today. Our teachers actually spend more time than in the past talking to students.
At first, honestly, I didn't believe it would work, but it's been a massive improvement in our school.
There's students like me that need to get to their class on time. It's actually more helpful now that they have the Start on Time program.
We have the highest freshman on track rate in Kelly's history, so we attribute that to the fact that they're in class.
Bye, TMZ. And Kelly has also implemented peer jury so that students are really leading the way to say these behaviors are not acceptable. We as your fellow peers are going to hold you accountable through peer jury.
Emma, do you want to start and discuss why the student has been referred to peer jury?
Ingrid Perez was caught tagging on a desk. She put Hallbrook sucks. So what do you guys think? How should we handle this?
See if perhaps she has any problems with the teacher.
Peer jury at Kelly is a restorative justice program where we have students who are referred for lower level violations of the school discipline code.
I tagged on the desk.
Why'd you do that?
He was on my case about missing homework. I didn't want to bash at him, so I just wrote on the desk.
The students are given the chance to meet with their peers to come up with an alternative consequence, address the issue that may have occurred, and kind of keep that positive momentum going so they're able to still focus on their work.
Is there anything different that you could have done?
Yeah, I guess I could just have talked to him. I mean, he's really understanding.
Did you apologize to him?
I'm a pretty big advocate for student justice. You know, anything that I could do to help students is something that I'm pretty passionate about.
It gives us like a point of view of also deciding if we were that student.
She apologized to your teacher and she regrets doing it.
Well, she said she hasn't done this before, right?
So what do you guys think that we should do?
We should just have her come for like a day or two and cleaning desks, since that's what she did, was tag on a desk. Yeah. Should we have her do it during her lunch period or after school?
I think after school.
It should be after school.
Yeah.
Does everyone agree to that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we all agree?
So are you in agreement for your alternative disciplinary action?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So it's not just about minimizing misbehavior, but it's really about eliciting the kind of positive behaviors you want from students as learners in your classroom. DAWS is a really exciting example of what can happen when you layer in strategies over time.
You know, the kids come in the morning and they come to school, they're happy to be here. We just started to re-look at how we did things here, just from an organizational standpoint. Behavior wasn't out of control, but we knew that it could be improved and it could be better, that we wanted to get a different feel or a different culture in the building as far as behavior.
We're utilizing CHAMPS, and I would describe CHAMPS as a comprehensive approach to classroom management. It really focuses on structuring the classroom environment for success.
It creates a respect and ownership and accountability for each one of them, and who can demonstrate a level 2, Arturo.
When everybody's loud, then we have to do this chomp signal. They put a thumbs up when they see you chomp them. They're trying to help them.
All right, remember there's other classes outdoors, so what do we do out there? What voice level?
0. All the way to the top of the stairs and stop when you get to the top.
If a student is off task, another student will say, you know, you're supposed to be at a 1 or you're supposed to be at a 0. They take ownership and responsibility for each other.
We have pause prizes, like how many paws you have, and we have like different boxes.
The pause is like, it's to show that how you're behaving in your homework, you'll get a reward instead of consequences. It's helped me because I've been missing my homework, but now I bring it back and now I get the awesome box.
CHAMP. Success! CHAMP. Success!
I think CHAMPS has helped because the culture has shifted from the focus being on the teacher to the students taking ownership and accountability. What does activity look like as you're engaged in your small groups?
Everyone's participating as one person says something, and we're respecting our others in our groups.
Once you finish reading and annotating the text, you're going to engage in your small group discussion.
Or in the small groups, it should be like a max of 6 people talking because each group has their own person or presenter.
So I'm the speaker, so I'm responsible for presenting and summing up everything that the group does. He's the tally master who is responsible for keeping track of who answers things.
We use that so we could have equal participation throughout the whole group.
She is the leader, so she keeps the discussion flowing.
I had another question, and it was, what can you say about Kathy's judgment towards the girls?
Well, I agree with Vontrice. I thought that it was because Esperanza didn't care that she was losing a friend, that she had 2 more friends.
The CHAMPS ambassadors are put in place so they could control the voice level.
If it gets too loud, I have to remind them that they have to be quiet.
This checklist, they come prepared. I check it and then it means that they did come prepared.
Student ownership is critical because they're stepping up as leaders, more responsible for their learning. They are learning to pose and ask questions and think without the teacher cueing them.
The way I see Champs has changed the culture of the school is really through us having the confidence to release some of that control. In the beginning, we were pretty strict with the hallway. If voice level 0 is 0. We kind of had to get away from that culture to more of a conversation in the hallway. We don't really want these kids just lined up perfectly quiet. We want them to be talking to each other. Now we're trying to have more collaborative, engaging learning. We're still holding them to our school-wide expectations, but you gotta kind of let go of that it's us versus them. I guess we get to know each other better.
A good artist. He can be a good artist. He can be another Leonardo. Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci.
In order for students to truly be college and career ready, they need to be nourished academically, socially, emotionally, and behaviorally.
Tier 1 services are in place. How does that rise up? And we start to have conversations about specific students and matching them to appropriate services.
I already had pretty high expectations for myself, but I was showing the school that I wasn't my best.
Many people think that our schools don't have a lot of resources. What we actually have found is that's not the case. There's a lot of people trying to help our students, and especially in these high-need communities, but there's not a structure in place to determine what's the right set of services and how do those people talk to each other and talk to teachers and families and the student to keep that student moving towards success. So Calvin Park was selected to develop a care team.
And we discuss individual students, and then we determine whether or not they need tiered support. We know what each student's doing, then we can go back and share with the teachers. So even the teachers feel that they're being heard.
They've really been a great resource to help in getting some of these kids back on track mentally. Some of these kids are going through some real bad things, and the care team plays a role in communicating with them and helping them. And I've seen great results. So they've really had an impact.
And it doesn't have to be your students always getting in trouble. It could maybe be the AB honor roll student who internalizes. We're here to meet the needs of all students.
We now have purposeful interventions in this school, which we didn't have before. It's a good thing for our school.
Group kind of showed me to not judge people because of what they go through, which they go through a lot.
In group, we talk about our problems or things that happen to us.
Our counselors, they are not willing to give up on you at all. They're really a big impact.
I know that everybody has their different things that they go through, and some more than others.
And I know I can count on them if I have a problem, even with schoolwork. They would help me, or if I have a family problem.
I'm not alone with things, so it's helped me a lot in a lot of different ways.
They really care about the students. This is one program that works, and we're seeing the results.
For more information, please feel free to email positivebehaviorsupport@cps.edu or visit our website.